Earlier this month, women lured and coerced into posing for explicit pictures that were later posted on pornography websites received a $13 million court settlement.
Horrifying. Director of Abolition for Exodus Cry, Laila Mickelwait, tweeted about the victory, saying, quote, "Next up is the federal case against him for sex trafficking, then jail time." Here via Skype to expand more is Laila Mickelwait. Welcome to Rising. Great to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Could you just start by, we're going to broaden the conversation out from here, but just start by explaining what happened in this case and why this is an important victory.
Sure. It's something that happens often in the pornography industry. We're hearing about this case because it's kind of well known and high profile, and these women have become brave enough to go after their exploiters. But it's the issue of being coerced, defrauded, tricked into performing sex acts on camera that they did not want to be published to the world. They were told that these were going to be private videos and hardly anyone was going to be able to see them. And then, of course, they were uploaded onto Pornhub. And then Pornhub hosted these illegal videos. Even after the case became kind of high profile, Pornhub kept hosting these videos. And it was only after a lot of pressure that they even finally took them down. So I think that there's more people who are complicit in this case, including the website Pornhub and its executives, not only the exploiter who was the one that was actually trafficking and coercing and defrauding these women.
It's just the lowest of the low.
It is. Laila, the reason I wanted to have you on is because you have been really a fearless warrior in kind of highlighting how the industry itself is for profit in mass exploitation of women, not just here in the United States, but across the globe. Could you go into that about how the industry itself is, tarred from the very beginning all the way up to the highest levels and its exploitation of women?
Absolutely. I mean, the sex industry preys on the most vulnerable in society. It's not your average woman with all the perfect circumstances that is going to go into prostitution or stripping or pornography. And we know this from research. It's most who are in, kind of a desperate situation where they need money. And in that case, money coerces those sex acts. They're unwanted sex acts. And when a woman experiences that, she experiences it as an instance of sexual abuse because she did not want that sex act. She wanted the money. And this industry preys upon the vulnerabilities of poverty, of prior histories of sexual abuse, of homelessness, those who have come out of the foster care system, those kinds of things. And it basically takes those vulnerabilities and exploits them for profit. And these major, huge companies like Pornhub, these Pornhub tube sites, and the pornographers and the companies who are behind this, and those who are advertising, is this huge industry that is taking women's bodies, crushing them, and using them to make a profit for themselves. And it's actually despicable. I mean, it's absolutely horrendous.
Is there a way to crack down on that exploitation, most of which is absolutely already illegal, without banning the industry entirely?
Well, I mean, I think that what we need to do is we need to start with some common sense regulation for our children, first of all, because right now it's out of control with the internet exploding. In 1990, there were fewer than 90 pornographic magazines available. And today, just in the last year, just on Pornhub alone, there were 6.8 million videos that were uploaded. And you could start watching that video. If you compiled it together, you could start in 1850, started watching that video. You'd still be watching it today. That's how much content was uploaded just to this one website in 1 year. And now the average child is accessing pornography between the ages of 10 and 12, upwards of 99% in Sweden of young men who are being exposed to pornography, and from up to 82% of young women who are being exposed to pornography. And so what we need is some common sense regulation as far as children go. First of all, we need age verification. So we have the technology for that right now. That should have been done a long time ago, is age verification. Then we need to hold internet service providers accountable, and we need to hold these porn tube mega sites, mega companies accountable for what they're hosting on their website and what they're profiting off of. Right, I think it's ridiculous. Like, exploiters are going to jail. and those who own the companies hosting these videos are just scot-free.
Right. Laila, one of the things you highlighted is that some of the most viewed videos on some of these pornographic websites are, they're false depictions, but they are still depictions of rape or sexual assault. And that you have a normalization of this type of behavior to an entire generation of young people, as you say, who are some of the biggest consumers of this material. Could you go into that? Maybe the societal cost that this imposes on us?
Yeah, today's modern mainstream pornography is not your grandfather's Playboy by any means. This is hardcore, violent, graphic depictions of rape. Often it's actually rape. Often it's actually sexual assault. When women are being choked in pornography and strangled, they're not pretending to be choked. They're actually being choked. They're being hit. They're being spit on. One of the most popular videos last week at number 4 worldwide on the most popular porn site in the world, Pornhub, was of James Dean, who was was charged or accused of sexual assault and rape in real life. And he was spitting on, choking, sodomizing aggressively, holding women down with his foot on their head, hitting them, and strangling them. And this was like one of the most popular videos on that website with almost over 5.7 million views. So this kind of content is what you're seeing in the mainstream. This is what your 10-year-old boy is going to find when he Googles boobs or sex in Google and hops on Pornhub. And that's just simply not acceptable. And it's socializing boys from a young age and girls into a deformed and violent sexuality. And it's just normalizing pedophilia, it's normalizing incest, rape, all of these things. And we see this played out day to day. I mean, there was recently a story of a 12-year-old boy who saw pornography and then wanted to copy it, so he began raping his little sister. This happens all the time, and it's not acceptable.
Right. What are the overall statistics? I mean, what do we know about the impact of this dynamic? Do we have statistics to show what it is, in fact, doing to society? You focused on the impact on women. What about to men? What about to young boys? What is the impact there?
Yeah, sure. I mean, what people are often say, they want a cause and effect. We want to be able to prove that watching violent pornography is what, makes a man go out and rape a woman. And we're never going to be able to say that this is a cause and effect. There's a lot of issues in society that we're not able to show a direct cause and effect. But we know that this is a contributing factor. We just had yesterday a story breaking in the news of a man who binge watched teen porn, which is a popular genre right now in pornography that depicts underage girls. And so he binge watched this teen porn. He got high. He literally went out on the street, abducted an 11-year-old girl on her way to school, raped her for 5 hours, and dumped her at a train station with a bag over her head. We see this, almost weekly or so regularly, these stories coming out of the way that pornography and violent pornography influence these violent predators to go out and do these acts. So we definitely see it as a contributing factor. We also know that with, for example, child pornography, that 80% of men who were apprehended for obtaining child pornography had also had hands-on offenses with children. So we see there's definitely a connection between viewing and doing. And it's certainly hurting society, and especially hurting women and girls.
Yeah. Well, Laila, thank you so much for the work that you're doing. We really appreciate you highlighting us to us. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Coming up, Team Rising discusses the endorsement sweeping the Twitterverse. That is next.